Hello everyone and welcome back to the life and suffering of Sir Brontë. So, in the last episode we finally have the big revolt. We finally had everything come to an end. Lots of people died. And now Sophia Robespierre is turning around and executing everyone she could find. And we have a revolt on our hands. We also had to say farewell to Stefan as well. He went on his way. He was just utterly disgusted about everything that was going on with our family, who we managed to unify. And well, without him, of course, but everything else is okay. We managed to save our mother as well. I would have liked to have been ennobled by the sword, but can't do that. But right now we have a revolt to deal with, and we're at the end of chapter 4, so let us continue, shall we?
At last, the day has come which would decide my fate, as well as that of my family, and perhaps the entire empire. The day of the revolt.
Alright, so the revolt begins. This event is a consequence of your previous actions. Conditions met. The last straws riot. So, you know, Texas will do what Texas does and it will revolt. So, let's see what we have now. The revolt begins. After 8 years of careful plotting, the streets of Anazet are ablaze with the flame of rebellion. Philippe's scheme to use a fake uprising to strengthen his own position has birthed a genuine revolt. Alas, the advisor is not here to witness it. Sophia executed him without mercy. Mayor Egmont is also dead, and his supporters have joined the last straw. Sophia is planning to take over Anazet, and she has no intentions of negotiating with the overseer. Harsh and merciless, she believes that freedom can only be taken by force. Her revolt will inevitably destroy the empire. Disgruntled citizens are rising up all over the city. The last straw's revolt has led the masses to wage a desperate struggle for their rights. It cannot be stopped anymore. Despite the growing chaos, you have no fear. After all these years, you're finally free, and soon your city will be free as well. Alright, so the revolt. It's a bloodbath. The general strength of the revolt. Forces gathered by the rebels, solidarity among them, support for the rebellion among the townspeople. The outcome of the struggle for Anazet will depend on how strong the revolt will be at the moment of the decisive collision. Okay. So right now it's a bloodbath. Troops, we have +2. Military forces that you have managed to gather under your command. So we have 2, we have a regiment. Common folk, +2. Your influence among the common people of Anazet, it depends on the support of the commoners whether you will be able to prevail in the struggle for the city. Okay, so I have their trust right now. I'm not the indisputable leader. The rebel sided with the revolt. You take the side of the revolt, and I got a award for that. Insurgent. Okay. Victory conditions. All right. Peaceful victory. We have to either be leading the revolt, have to eliminate Sophia. You succeed Sophia as the leader of all the rebel forces in Anazet. The revolt is greater than or equal to 6. The general strength of the revolt, yeah, we already read that. Troops are greater than or equal to 1. The common folk are greater than or equal to 3. The clergy are greater than or equal to 3. The nobles are greater than or equal to 1. Okay. That's my influence with them. And the power has to be +3 or +4. But it can't be a reign of terror. Interesting. Let's see. Military victory. We either have to be leading the revolt. The revolt has to be has to be greater than or equal to 6. The troops have to be greater than or equal to 2, or the common folk have to be greater than or equal to 3. Interesting. Chapter 5, The Revolt. At dawn. For years now, Anazet has been simmering like a cook pot over a slow flame. The powerlessness of the simple folk. I've heard that phrasing so many times. The powerlessness of the simple folk, unable to change the old order, has gradually given way to rage. Finally, this anger became stronger than their age-old submission to the higher estate and their fear of divine retribution. This rage was the spark that lit the fire of the revolt. All of Anazet's commoners have risen up in rebellion. Workers, artisans, merchants, beggars. They all long to break free of noble tyranny and the perpetual suffering that is their lot. The most daring among them have joined the last straw. The secret society has sent entire squads of trained soldiers out into the streets. They hand out guns and bombs to the people. Weapons that give them a chance to wage war on equal footing against noblemen descended from generations of warriors. But the most dangerous weapons the rebels possess is the people's court. The commoners have claimed their right to sentence their enemies to true death. The first nobles executed by the last straw this very night served as proof that these sentences are real. For the first time in the history of the Empire, the divine force of the law is in possession not only of the noblemen, but also the common estate. Among the rebels are many new believers. They are ready to take up arms to defend their faith and freedom from the lots. They are led by Leonard, the abbot of the temple by the silver tree. Prefect Elborn's allegiance remains unknown. The supreme judge has taken such pains to give the lowly estate more rights. Will he support a revolt that strives to do the same? Anazet has recently been rocked by a series of spontaneous assemblies and protests. The mob demands equal rights for all estates and freedom from the tyranny of the nobles. The authorities must recognize the new faith and grant the commoners the right to choose their own lot. By nightfall, the rebels had disposed of the guards and taken over the city gate. In a matter of minutes, Anazet was under their control. It is the duty of Overseer Gaius Tempest to crush the revolt. The Archnean nobleman feared for his own position and power, so he was reluctant to punish the rebellious city as discontent slowly grew year by year. But the ensuing uprising has left him no choice. The Overseer has announced a full-scale mobilization. In the morning, the Legion will march toward Anazet under his command and attempt to return the city to Imperial authority with fire and sword. The expeditious arrival of the Legion is the only hope the nobles have left now that they are locked inside the city. Members of the higher estate, especially the old aristocratic families, fear the coming rampage and strive to keep order on the streets. Meanwhile, the Inquisition, led by Sister Jean, is trying to stop the new believers and urging the people to reject the revolt. Both groups are aware that if the rest of the province follows Anazet into rebellion and chaos, the empire itself and the divine order will begin to crumble. After nightfall, the city grows quiet. Its courtyards and squares are empty. In mansions and palaces, hasty negotiations are held and schemes are concocted. In dark cellars, the revolt is being prepared, and armed units are gathering. Parishes are getting ready to defend the temples of the new faith against the Inquisition. All citizens, rich and poor, common and noble, are arming themselves, some with ancestral swords, others with cleavers. Anazet is preparing, waiting for dawn. As the Legion arrives for the assault, the rebels assemble into a militia and get ready to fend off the Imperial army. But there is little unity in their camp. Their leaders are already mired in a power struggle. There are also defenders of the Imperial order within the city walls, members of the old aristocracy, soldiers of the Inquisition, priests of the old faith, commoners unwilling to defy the law and the twins' design. These people too refuse to lay down their arms. The first ray of the rising sun lights up the horizon. This day will go down in history. Your entire life has led you to this moment. Step by step, you have made yourself the man you are now. Your actions today could alter the course of history, but are you ready to go the distance? What will have become of you by the time the sun sets? Okay, the revolt is a bloodbath. right, so there's a couple things that can happen. The Legion could be defeated. The revolt wins a decisive victory over the Imperial forces. That's if I'm leading the revolt and the common folk is 3. Peace with the Overseer. Overseer Gaius Tempest is forced to accept the demands. If I'm leading the revolt, the common folk is a 3, the clergy is a 2, the nobles are a 1, and the power is +3 or 4. And there we go, I can do that. The city is defended. I can get that if I'm leading the revolt, so at the very least I can do that. The rebels managed to fight back the attack of the Legion and hold Anazet for some time. The revolt is defeated if the revolt equals 0, the nobles equal 3, the clergy equal 3, but the power equals 1. The revolt is suppressed by fire and sword. Anazet is back under the rule of the Empire. The surrender of the revolt. The rebels surrender to the mercy of the Overseer. Anazet is back under the rule of the Empire. Okay. What other ones do we have? The Anazet Massacre. The revolt led by Sophia wins at the cost of relentless massacre. That's if the revolt is greater than or equal to 6, but Sophia is leading it. Dark times. Neither side succeeds. Chaos and disorder spreads all over the Empire. If I fail to achieve another outcome, then there's also true death. So that could also happen as well. Okay, that's not good. Let's see. Events that can happen to the Brontë family in this chapter. The family is in the city. The Brontë family chose to remain in the rebellious city of Anazet. The family has perished. All your family members has perished in the fire of the revolt. Jesus Christ, okay. Your family has fled. The Brontë family hastily leaves the rebellious Anazet, or the family is saved. The Brontë family survives the night of the revolt. Okay. For my occupation, deeds that you can accomplish on your chosen life path. I can escape from the city. You flee the violent streets of Anazet. Or I can lead the revolt. You succeed Sophia as leader of all the rebel forces in Anazet. I can be the defender of the Empire. You take the side of the defenders of the Imperial government. That's not going to happen. And of course, I can be the rebel. I can take the side of the rebels. So I've already done that. The revolt screen is now available. Okay. And I am on the side of the revolt. All right, let's continue. Actually get into the meat of this now. Oh boy, it's not going to be many choices. Okay, this event is a consequence of your previous action, the family's fate. And since that's because the family hasn't fallen apart. Okay. The first rays of the morning sun reach the windows of your family home. It will be so easy to forget about the impending revolt here within these old familiar walls. But the calm before the storm will soon be over, and yesterday's turmoil will return. There are only a handful of hours left. The Brontes have to decide what to do. Should the family stay in the city and prepare to weather the storm? Should they join the struggle? Or should they simply avoid it? After a sleepless night, you gather in the sitting room as a family once again. Father is the first to speak. His determined yet surprisingly calm voice fills the room. This is what I was afraid would happen. The noble estate has turned a blind eye to the common people's misery, and now we have a revolt on our hands. It is my fault as well. I did all I could to serve the cause of justice, but it just wasn't enough, and now blood will be shed. The family patriarch cast a somber gaze over his children. I want to make one thing very clear today. Today, our family cannot get involved in the unrest. We will not take sides. I feel for the common estate, but we're not getting dragged into a hopeless bloodbath. As for preserving the Overseer's rule in Anazet, we will not sacrifice ourselves for that either. He has led Magra to this rebellion, and now it's up to him and his legion to deal with the rebels. He just perpetually wants to do nothing. And we mustn't forget Commander Odden and his noble militia. They're all too eager to use this opportunity to slaughter all the nobles they blame for the revolt. Father is silent for a while. Then he takes his sword off the wall and places it firmly on the table. His voice rings with the coldness of steel. We will stay in our city and protect our home. Whatever danger we might face today, the Brontes will not surrender their home, their status, or their place in this world. None of you have ever seen Father so filled with resolve, but he still seeks your support. Robert, the patriarch of the Bronte family, meets your gaze. My son, I know you're going to make your own decision. You're too deeply involved in this conflict to just stand aside. But right now, I'm talking about our family here, Darren. Our family must remain out of harm's way, no matter what you decide to do. Okay, so the only thing I can't do is oppose the revolt, of course, because I am a part of the rebel faction, so that's natural. I can agree with Father and protect our home. The family will be in the city, and my willpower will go up by 5. I can have the Brontes flee the city, and if I do that, my willpower will go down by 5, and Robert Bronte will be seen as fled. Or I can have the Brontes will side with the revolt. And what will happen? Let's see. Destiny will be the rebel, family in the city, common folk will get +1, and Robert Bronte will become a rebel. And let's see, let me get a drink first. This has been brutal. I've recorded 5 videos back to back. So yeah, it's been kind of brutal on my throat. I'm going to do Brontes will side with the revolt. And hopefully I can lead this revolt at some point, but we will see. You spring to your feet and meet Father's eyes with a steely gaze of your own. He's making a mistake. The people have grown so desperate because the nobles have driven them to despair with their merciless, wanton cruelty. Yes, Father, Elborn and others fought for their rights, but even they dragged their feet on real change. You, the Bronte family, must openly side with the revolt. Gloria leaps to her feet. Your sister has been quiet all this time, but she cannot hold back anymore. Father, I've always been obedient. I've never defied your will, but I am a member of this family now, and I cannot remain silent when our family's future is at stake. The people are finally rising up against this tyranny and oppression. You cannot simply stay out of it. Yes, there are many cutthroats and thieves among them who just want to get rich off the riots, and yes, there will be chaos, but we can no longer live in fear of change. Father, you've always tried your best as a judge to bring justice to all the estates, but the old ways will never change if all we do today is lock our doors. We need to get out there and fight. Gloria points at the sword in Father's hands. You took up arms, so use them to fight the enemies of freedom. Father hesitates, pondering Gloria's passionate plea. He looks first at you and your sister, then at grandfather's portrait on the wall. The late Gregor Bronte stares back at his progeny, implacable and stern. Father shudders, then he turns his back on the portrait, as though shedding the last of his doubt. He buckles on his sword belt. Gloria, Darren, you're right, both of you. I will see my life's work through to the end if it's the last thing I do. I would never forgive myself otherwise. The Bronte family will fight for the revolt. With no time to waste, Father begins to strategize. It is crucial that the city be able to withstand the Legion's onslaught. I'll go gather people to defend the city walls. I hope the commoners will follow me. The name Bronte ought to carry some weight with the rebels. Gloria squeezes your hand gleefully. Brother, we're finally fighting the old order together, you and me. You know I knew you'd grow up to be a great man, even back when you were just a baby in my arms. I'm going to talk to everyone I know who cares about our cause and tell them to join us. You embrace your sister briefly with all your might, and then leave the sitting room. It is time to get ready and muster all your strength. You are about to join the battle for the fate of the city. You step out the door and walk to the gate. Your place is on the streets where history is about to be written. But then you hear Nathan's voice behind you. Darren, hold on. You turn around and look behind you. The hunched, hapless silhouette of your younger brother appears on the steps. Nathan hurries towards you. Robert Bronte is a rebel now. I am the undisputable leader among the common folk. Or the common folk are the undisputable leader? Not sure. Family is in the city. The Brontë family chose to remain in the rebellious city of Anazet. So there's that. That's either going to be good or really bad. Probably bad. Probably bad knowing me. So yeah. By their will. This event is a consequence of your previous action. The family falls apart. That's not the case, though. Your younger brother stands before you, clutching an old prayer book. He speaks, sighs deeply, then begins to speak. I know you're in a hurry, Darren. I'll try not to take up too much of your time. As you know, my faith has wavered all my life. The twins know how much I've sinned. But even in my darkest hour, I knew they hadn't turned away from our world. I knew they still cared. Nathan is quiet for a moment, watching a tiny ant make its way across the porch. But I just can't understand, no matter how hard I try, what's happening to us. This revolt against the Empire. How did the twins let it happen? Is this even possible? I mean, the twins made the whole world as part of their design, didn't they? Does that mean the entire world is about to fall apart? This revolt, what is it? Please help me understand. Nathan's sullen gaze rises towards the shining pillar, but thick gray storm clouds are already moving towards the city. The shining strip at the edge of the sky is growing dimmer by the second. You watch the sky too. Lost in thought, what will you tell him? Okay. I could tell him he should ask the elder. Theology will go up by 1, eloquence will go up by 1, and Nathan Brontë will become a prophet. Interesting. And we can do this because he's hopeful, and one of these must be true. Revelations of the tree or Nathan's admonition. Okay. We can say the revolt is a challenge against the gods. Nathan will be consumed by despair, but theology will get +1. The revolt is a threat to their design. He will also get consumed by despair with that. And eloquence will go up by 1. The revolt is part of their design. If we could have gotten that if we had Nathan's admonition and theology greater than 12, which we don't have. Or we could walk away without giving Nathan an answer. Let's not do that. Let's go ahead and make him a prophet, shall we? Nathan the prophet. I got an achievement for that. By their will. Your hand comes to rest on Nathan's shoulder. You have always tried to guide your little brother to the truth, but right now only the gods themselves hold the answer he seeks. But you believe that he has the power to ask the twins himself. He spoke to the elder once. Surely he can speak to him again. Nathan falls silent, dumbstruck by your words. He unconsciously touches the sacred symbol he wears on his chest. Darren, you believe me? You really believe the elder spoke to me? Your eyes shift to the silver tree. It has always stood over this city. It brings back so many memories. You recall the way you felt when you first saw it up close, and then you speak. Yes, you tell Nathan, you believe him, and you believe in him. Your little brother kneels silently. He bows his head and speaks a prayer to the elder. Nathan's body begins to tremble. His eyes roll back in their sockets. The sacred symbol in his hand burns with a silver flame. You try to call out to him, but your mouth will not open. Your lips are sealed tight. The air is growing heavy. Time and space freeze. A few moments seem to last an eternity, and then it passes. Nathan leaps to his feet, his eyes wide. I heard him. I did. He's here, Darren. The elder. He walks among us. The elder is looking for an answer, just like me. He's calling out to us. He wants to know what happened to our world. He wants to hear us. I need to find him. Nathan suddenly stops in mid-thought. But our family needs me now too, right? We've got to stick together. Your hand comes to rest on your brother's shoulder once again. What's done is done. He has seen the truth and it will never let him go. It is time for Nathan to walk his own path. He must find the elder. He must make himself heard. Nathan smiles meekly and embraces you as awkwardly as ever. I'll never forget everything you've done for me, brother. Farewell. Before he leaves, Nathan hesitates for a moment. He casts one final glance at the family home, then disappears beyond the gate. He walks alone now, combing the streets for a god mere moment before they erupt in madness. But this is Nathan's one true path now. Alright, so Nathan is a prophet now, so that's gonna be interesting. I am an inspired speaker now, and I have the theology of a follower. Okay. Mustering the forces. The crimson sun slowly rises above the horizon. You make your way through a city in chaos, carefully observing what is happening on the streets. The rebellion is flaring up again after a night of calm. Once again, the commoners are taking to the squares in droves. The grim resolve in the rebels' eyes speak volumes. They are determined to seize their freedom or die trying. There are others, however, who are huddling inside their homes, locking their doors and praying to survive the revolt unscathed. With every passing minute, you see more and more people carrying banners. They bear a hand clutching a lantern, the mark of the last straw. The conspirators have left the shadows at last. They hand out guns to the common folks, using these last precious minutes to quickly teach them how to fire them. The artisans are out on the streets too, cobbling together makeshift shields out of wood and nails to protect against the nobles and their blades. Fortunately for the rebels, the nobles remain divided. The old noble bloodline have sided with Dorius Odden. The Archaean has sworn to bring down the revolt by any means necessary. His noble militia now stands guard in the Silver District, where the city's most eminent aristocrats have their homes. They represent the greatest threat to the revolt. Many nobles of the mantle, however, are all too eager to violate their oath of fealty and side with the rebels. Though ennobled to serve the Empire, they no longer want to suffer under the boot of the high-born Archaeans and human gentry. But there are many more who are still undecided. Soldiers and low-ranking officers of the Legion, from the city's garrison officials and functionaries, they have all found themselves caught between the Overseer's orders and the people's revolt. Many of them are biding their time, hoping the Legion or the prefecture will spring into action and quell the unrest, but the prefecture has yet to react. The city's prefect, Sir Elborn, still has not made it clear which side he's on. Even the clergy has been swept up in the strife. Abbot Leonard is gathering new believers for a procession to the Silver Tree, where the people will elect a new patriarch. Old believer priests and common folk who prefer to cling to the lots and save their souls stand in opposition. Even the Inquisition, whose duty it is to protect the Church of the Twin Gods against heresy, has been tainted by this schism. The true fight for the fate of Anazet will begin in a matter of hours. You have had 8 years to curry influence among the people of this city. It is time to put your connections to the test. Who can you sway to your side? Who will be willing to sacrifice their lives and fight for their cause? Fight for your cause. Okay. Let's see. I can't arm the new believers because I don't have the path of the priest. I can't incite a riot among the Legion troops because I'm not on the path of the noblemen. I can assemble a squad of loyal rebels because I took the path of the lotless, and my scheming is high enough, and I'm not a defender of the Empire. I can't support the old believer priest because, again, I don't have the path of the priest. I can't unite the nobles because I don't have the path of the noblemen, and I'm not ennobled by the sword. And I can't buy the people's loyalty because, what did I need there? I couldn't be a rebel. I would need to not be a rebel in order for that to happen. I would have gotten troops, I would have gotten common folk +1, and I would have lost some wealth. I can't bide my time though. Let's see. So with this, the revolt will get +1, which they didn't need, and I will get +1 troops. Okay, let's do it. Many of the Last Straw members are loyal to you and you alone. When the revolt began, they disappeared into the thick of the fray. These last few hours of silence are the perfect opportunity to find them again. You send out a citywide message summoning your people to the usual meeting place. As noon draws closer, the empty print shop comes to life once again. The rebels who flock there are ready to fight for the revolt. In their eyes, you are the leader of the city's underground, the one guiding light in the ensuing chaos. You start handing out weapons, appointing lieutenants and teaching your men to fight in the streets. Strike quickly, you tell them, and try to take the enemy by surprise, then retreat, split up, and reassemble somewhere else. They are miners, diggers, artisans, merchants, paupers, desperate commoners, and they are all ready to put all their remaining lives on the line. They will either win their freedom or face the gallows for unimaginable acts of treason against the Empire. This is all they have left. Do you have what it takes to realize their hopes and guide them to victory? It is time to find out. The sound of gunfire fills the city streets once again. The lull has passed. So we have an army right now. Again, we're at a bloodbath as far as the revolt goes, and I don't know if that's a good thing because, yeah, I see this right here. Maybe it's just too high and it's just past that point or something. I'm not sure, but we'll see. This event is a consequence of your previous actions, the path of the lotless, a cornered beast. Noon approaches. Your thoughts keep returning to Sophia as you muster your forces for the impending fight for the city's future. Where is she right now? What are her plans? What are her orders for the last straw? Joined by your followers, you carefully make your way through the now empty streets. Danger could lurk behind any corner. You take another turn and hear someone moaning in pain. You quickly zigzag to the edge of the Silver District. At the end of the street is a square in which several wooden stakes have been hastily erected. Nailed to each stake is a commoner dressed in bloody, tattered rags. What is going on here? You sign for your men to take cover by the wall of an old factory. You hear the hooves of a single horse clattering along the cobblestone. A stately horseman rides towards the stakes, a luxurious cloak draped across his shoulders. You have known his dire form since you were a lad. The Archnean's arrogant voice echoes through the square. People of Anazet, heed my words. I am Dorius Odden, High Commander of Magra, leader of the noble militia. Odden points the tip of his sword at the writhing commoners. These low-born wretches dared to sneak into the Silver District and rob noble homes, but I will not grant them the mercy of a lesser death by my blade. They will live and suffer as befits their lot. This is their divine duty. Know this, rebels. Anyone who follows your precious Sophia will share the same fate. I know my runaway servant's wily ways. She'll send you all at me without a second thought, and you will all die by my hand. She won't care. She's completely insane. All she wants is to see Anazet burn to the ground. Your men exchange uneasy glances. You motion for them to remain quiet. You need to stay out of sight for now. Sophia, I know you're around here somewhere. You've grown up, but you're still my property. I can see your people turning their backs on you. All hope is lost. Come back to your lord and master. You will be mine forever. The lone rider is motionless and silent in the empty square. It is quiet. Even the captive commoners stifle their moans. Bang. A squad of last straw rebels spills out of an alleyway and rushes at Odden. Sophia is the first among them. Her plain shirt stained with blood, a long heavy musket in her hand. You lying blue-faced whoreson. I want him alive. The People's Court will deal with him. Sophia stops and takes him. Another gunshot rumbles. Odden's mare collapses, wounded, taking her rider to the ground. The rebels run towards Odden, celebrating his downfall. But then you hear the deafening clacking of hooves coming from the Silver District. The noble militia. The riders were waiting to ambush Sophia. The elite cavalrymen smash into the last straw squad like a heavy steel gauntlet. The rebels are taken by surprise. They are about to retreat. Odden gets up from under his horse, his sword at the ready. Not one step back, damn you. We'll fight them to the end. The militia has the rebels and their leader surrounded. Your people are hugging the wall, trying to stay out of sight. They watch the fight anxiously, awaiting your orders. It is time to act. If Sophia is captured, she will not be there to lead the rebellion. However, if she escapes, the revolt will be ruled by her merciless, vindictive cruelty. This is about more than just Sophia. You remind yourself, this confrontation could decide the fate of the entire revolt. Okay, the only thing I can do is rush to Sophia's side. So the revolt gets +2, and we get +1 troops. And Sophia gets leading the revolt. Wonderful. Let me see. I can't get rid of her because my scheming would have to be a 20. Wonderful. So there's that. Let me see. The common folk would have went down by 1. Sophia would have became captive. Dorius Odden would have got +2. We would have gotten some troops from that, but it's already maxed out, so that wouldn't have mattered. We can't stop Sophia because our manipulation is not 20. Wonderful. The troops would have, we would have gotten +1 troops. The revolt would have lost 1. Willpower would have went down by 5, and Sophia would have became hopeful. We can't order a retreat because Sophia is our lover, and we can't capture Sophia and have her executed because she is our lover. Wonderful. So Sophia is about to get a bunch of people killed for no fucking reason. Also, once again, I have to point out the stupidity of this. She's our lover. We can't convince her. We can't calm her down. We can't convince her to step aside or anything. We just have to accept this situation. Sophia's going to be leading the revolution. So many people are going to die. Wonderful. You give your orders quietly. Ready your weapons, be quiet, and follow me. We must rescue Sophia and her people. The rage of battle and the deafening rumble of gunfire render the noble riders blind and deaf to your approach. You bring your squad closer, waiting for the perfect moment to take them by surprise. Sophia and her rebels fight with all their might, but the riders keep pushing. The ring around them becomes smaller and smaller. Squad, attack. Our cause is just. Sophia, we're coming. Death to tyrants. Steel grinding against steel. Clouds of acrid smoke. The stench of blood. Horses neighing in terror. You used to walk to Sir Tibor's school along this very street, but now it is the site of a terrible battle. To find Sophia in the chaotic skirmish, you follow the flashes of magical yellow light. One by one, the riders fall from their saddles, paralyzed by her spell. Sophia's sepia eyes burn with rage. Come here, Odden. I'll show you what your servant can do. Driven by blinding rage, the desperate young woman faces the armed and armored rider on her own. You finally make your way to her side. Sophia. Darren, finally, I thought they got you. Come on, let's crush them together. You scream over the sounds of skirmish. No, this is a battle you cannot win. You will have to abandon the captives. You have to get out of this trap right now. Sophia takes a moment to catch her breath and return to her senses. The furious yellow light in her eyes dies down. Her loyal fighters form a shield around her, blocking another assault by Odden's riders. Reinforcements on horseback are already heading your way from the noble Silver District. You grab Sophia by the elbow. Your voice hoarse, you scream an order to the rebels, retreat. You withdraw from the square down narrow back streets and alleyways under the cover of gunfire. The riders quickly lose track of you. Only Odden's screams of rage reaches your ears now. Just wait till I get my hands on you, you filthy slut. You'd better thank the twins. I have more important matters to attend to. Also, how are you still have influence? I mean, you were disgraced the last time I checked. In a quiet space surrounded by several houses with boarded up doors and windows, Sophia's rebels take a moment to lick their wounds. They join your fighters next. Few of those rebels survive, but they have guns, training, and tenacity to see this through to the very end. While everyone recovers, you wander away to find Sophia. She is sitting on the doorstep of an abandoned house, far from the rest of you. I almost got us all killed, Darren. If it weren't for you. Odden tried to turn our own men against us. He told them I was crazy. I couldn't let him keep lying like that. You put a hand on Sophia's shoulder. Ever since this all began, you've both known that the revolt would cost you dearly. Right now, all you can do is keep fighting no matter what. And if any other members of the Last Straw get scared and try to switch sides when faced with fire and blood, you will show them no mercy. Sophia should know that you will be by her side until the very end. Sophia gets back on her feet, angry flecks of gold glowing in her eyes again. You're right, no mercy. If they listen to the enemy, they're the enemy too. I won't make the same mistakes again. I'm through second guessing myself. The people need me. My place is here, in the street. I need to lead the people, give them a purpose, give them a leader, and grind the old order into dust. There's a big gathering at Empire Square over by the Chancellery. I should be there if we want to fend off the Legion. I gotta bring this whole city together under the banner of the Last Straw. But we've still got plenty of enemies in Anazet. I hear Odden and his militia have just moved out to the prefecture. They want to execute Elborn and his judges for treason. There's lots of people by the prefecture. We need them on our side. Who knows? Maybe even Elborn will join us. You should head there. I'll start getting people together in Empire Square. Sophia squeezes your hand so hard it hurts. And come back to me as soon as you can, okay, Darren? I can't do this without you. You squeeze her hand in return, and then you part ways. Sophia and her most loyal rebels leave for Empire Square. Your next stop is the prefecture. You know, it just amazes me how, now, the maxed out stats work wonderfully for you. But the entire time this stuff was building up, the maxed out stats do nothing for you. But then on top of that, in order to get the maxed out stats, you have to sacrifice so much shit that would have turned around and put you in such a bad situation. Oh boy. This is gonna be a shitty end. I know this. Oh, we have an army. Great. Have more willpower. Great. The day is halfway over. The prefecture under siege. The searing sun looms high in the sky above the rebellious city. The square in front of the prefecture is packed with commoners. Just a moment ago, they boldly demanded that the judges and gendarmes side with the rebellion, but now they are terrified. They fear the noble army that is coming for them. Their calls for rebellion are gone, replaced by frightened screams. Hooves thunder against the cobblestone. The earth quakes beneath their feet. The noble militia led by Dorius Odden carves a path through the human sea. The terrified rebels scatter as the riders approach. The gendarmes remain where they are, forming a tight circle around the prefecture and Elborn. The prefect calls out to the crowd, his voice hoarse. Everyone, stay calm. Let them through. Do not draw your weapons. Odden's riders push the mob aside and eventually reach the tall building. The Archnean commander draws in his reins only when the gendarmes all that separate him when the prefecture stares. Prefect Elborn, how dare you disobey the orders of the province's rightful rulers? You have abused your position to appease the rebels and defy imperial rule. This inconceivable rebellion is your fault. It is time for you to accept your well-earned punishment. In the name of Archduke Milanatus, I hereby order you and your gendarmes to surrender your weapons. The supreme judge of the prefecture maintains his composure in the face of this recrimination. I only obey the laws of the Empire, Sir Odden, not you or your runaway Archduke. Odden's face contorts into a predatory grin. Excellent. You had your chance to save face, old man. Instead of a dignified execution, you and your cronies will hang like the foul rebel you've betrayed us for. Okay, and I have two choices. Odden lifts his sword skyward, prepared to order an assault. The riders behind him are about to attack. The gendarmes ready their clubs. Their hands are trembling. They will not stand a chance against the noble cavalry. The mob begins to shift, about to flee the square. The fate of this moment hangs by a thread. And of course, since, Dorius Odden is apparently fucking Lu Bu for some odd reason, you can't do anything about him. Let me see. I can't challenge him to a duel because Odden faces the Court of Honor, and there were so many things that you would have required in order to do that, but whatever. Get Odden's army to abandon him. You can't do that because Odden isn't sentenced, and the nobles, you don't have any opinion with them. You can't overthrow Elborn because... what? I would have needed Odden faces the Court of Honor. Well, he couldn't have faced the Court of Honor, and I couldn't have been a rebel. Let me see. Get Odden and Elborn to reconcile. I can't do that because I'm a rebel. I don't have enough reputation. I don't have diplomacy, and I don't have any relation with Dorius Odden. And how in the blue fuck would you be able to do that? Because, I mean, you don't ever really have any incidents with Dorius Odden. I guess you could give him Sophia, but there's that. But okay, that come on now. And in that case, the revolt would have been, that's just if you want to side with the Empire, I guess. Yeah, Defender of the Empire, okay. Yeah, that's way too much stuff there. Let's rouse the mob and encourage them to defend the prefect. Okay, I am a rebel, so I get that. Power will go up by 1. Order will go down by 1. The revolt will go up by 2. Once again, that's nothing. Troops will go up by 1. That also was nothing, and I lose some willpower. Great. Augustin Elborn will become a rebel. Odden's riders advance on the gendarmes. If you do nothing, the prefecture will fall. You need to act now. You leap onto the mob, scramble up onto an overturned carriage, and call out to the throng. And of course, all these brave things does not make me the leader of the rebellion. It's, of course, Sophia, who has been doing nothing but being absent this entire time. You hear voices throughout the crowd. It's Brontë. Darren Brontë wants to say something. You shout as loudly as you can. People of Anazet, do not fear the wrath of the nobles. Your lives are finally yours. For the first time since the Empire was founded, cast off the lot of humility. You are many, and they are few. It is time to fight. For years and years, the prefecture has always been there to protect the rights and freedoms of the common man. We cannot let it fall into enemy hands. Stop them. Protect the prefect. Elborn hears you over the din of the struggle on the prefecture stairs. His voice joins yours. Show them you have no fear. Take your rights by force. I, Prefect Elborn, I am on your side. Your words inspire the people with a sense of solidarity. They have much to lose now, and they will not surrender their freedom without a fight. In the blink of an eye, the unwieldy throng bristles with heavy sticks, wooden clubs, and makeshift spears. You start giving orders from your impromptu podium, commanding this newfound army to assault the rear of Odden's cavalry. Cut the rabble down, no mercy. The cavalry turns to face them with an onslaught of sharp steel. Bones crack beneath hooves, swords slice through defenseless flesh. The stench of blood fills the square as fallen bodies dissipate into glimmering dust. You keep doling out furious commands, trying to ensure that the common folk are not routed. Hold the line, stand your ground. Better a lesser death than eternal slavery. The riders smash into them again, but the line holds. The people have numerical superiority and their spears and clubs strike back. The cavalry begins to drown in a sea of humanity. The gendarmes hit Odden's warriors from the rear. One by one, the riders are dragged from their horses. The noble militia falters. Traitorous filth! Retreat! Odden and his surviving horsemen turn tail and flee, furiously carving a path with their swords. At least half of Odden's men have fallen in this battle. Cries of victory fill the square. The commoners shake their weapons, eager to follow your orders. But it is far too early to celebrate. You've only fought off one assault. Prefect Odden finds you in the boisterous crowd. Darren, your courage has saved the prefecture. I'm with you until the end. Whatever you need from me, you will have it. We need to hurry now. The noble militia we've seen in the city pales in comparison to the forces of the Legion. I'll gather our forces at the prefecture and establish a unified command structure. You should find Abbot Leonard and aid him in any way you can. His procession must be en route to the Silver Tree by now. The enemies of the new faith are waiting there, weapons in hand. They'll massacre each other if we don't stop them, Brontë. The city is a powder keg with a short fuse. More fire and blood is the last thing we need. What we need is more allies, and having Leonard on our side is crucial. We need a spiritual leader who can unite the city against the Legion. Unite Odden. The fate of the feud between the two faiths will be decided in the clash at the Silver Tree. You have to be there. You wish the prefect luck, then muster your loyal forces and head for the tree. Alright, currently the order in town is a lawless land and we have the reign of terror going on inside. Again, this hasn't changed because it's been maxed out. My willpower is now at a 15. The March of the New Faith. An enormous sea of humanity flows through Anazet, filling the streets of the Temple District. They are led by Abbot Leonard. The new believers walk peacefully behind him, many of them women and the elderly. They are unarmed. Their faces show neither fear nor anger. They are so drastically unlike the throngs of rebels who are currently ransacking streets and looting noble houses. The procession slowly makes its way toward the Temple of the Silver Tree. The temple has always been where patriarchs of the church accept their sacred duty along with the heavy burden of responsibility for their flock before the twin gods. When a patriarch speaks, the twin pay heed. And every 8 years it falls upon the patriarch to proclaim in their sight how their world is humbly following the lot it has been given. Long after the twins descended to our world, the patriarch came to be elected at the conclave by the clergy. This tradition has continued for many years. Today, dozens of priests have come to the temple in spite of the unrest to conduct the rite and spare the twins' world from their wrath. But now, thousands of commoners are walking to the same temples to elect the new patriarch themselves. You and your followers take a side street to the temple, avoiding the immense procession. Soon the square by the tree is packed, teeming and overwhelmed. But the stairs to the temple doors cannot be reached. A stalwart phalanx of champions of faith block the way, with Jean in the lead. They are joined by the Inquisitors, those who have decided to walk the path of the old faith until the very end. I will not allow you into the temple, Leonard. These heretics will not make you patriarch. Father Leonard slowly begins to ascend the stairs. He does not argue with Jean. The abbot simply faces her with a humble smile and gestures at the people standing behind him. Doubt clouds the champions' faces. Leonard's procession is truly staggering. Even if they are mere commoners, even if they are unarmed and empty-handed, there are simply too many of them to be stopped by a few dozen old believers. Sister Jean, look at them. Are they truly heretics? All of them. They are just people, our brothers and sisters in faith. Why would the Inquisition treat us like enemies? We do not reject the twin gods. Nay, we seek them with our every thought. You rejected the law of the younger when you chose to seek your own lots. No, Jean, the only thing we reject is Asteus' error. This argument has been going on for years, Leonard. I know each and every point you can make. Don't even bother. You will not enter the temple. And all these people, you're just dragging them down to the foot of the pillar along with you. How can you still not understand this after so many years? What do you think you're doing, Leonard? Don't you fear the wrath of the gods? I do not, Jean. When I become patriarch, I will tell the twins that we still love and revere them just as we always have, even as we seek a different path to them. The twins will hear us. They will listen. They will understand. There will be no wrath of the gods. The new believers heed Leonard's words. They begin to firmly ascend the stairs to the door of the temple. The champion's sword do not deter them. Jean watches the massive congregation approach her, eyes filled with remorse. She raises an arm, about to give her final order. Champions of faith, protect the sacred temple. Fight to the bitter end. And there's only two choices I have here. You reach the foot of the stairs as she speaks these words. This is your last chance to intervene. I can't lead the procession to the temple because I don't have clergy greater than 2, and I don't have the Cassius Overthrown or Torch of the New Faith. I can't stand with Jean and drive the procession away because I'm a rebel, and I don't have the same things as the clergy, and I don't have the relations with Jean. I can't fight them off with the champions of the faith because I am a rebel. I can't order the priest to attack because I am not on the path of the priest. I'm not the defender of the empire, and Jean doomed for her sin. So I will have to choose save the new believers from bloodshed. The result will be the rebels will grow, order will go down even further, even though it can't because it's at 0. The revolt will grow, the clergy will get +1, willpower will go down by 5, Father Leonard will be defeated, and Jane will get a true death. Huh. Interesting. So he's going to die. Well, he's not going to die, but he's going to be defeated. Huh. Well, this doesn't help me at all, actually. How, you know what? Whatever. Save the new believers from bloodshed. There can never be peace between the Inquisition and the new believers. Sister Jean is right. The dispute between them has been going on for years. Neither side will ever yield to the other. Right now, there is only one thing you can do. Rescue as many of them as you can from what is to come. You gesture to your followers. You gesture to your followers hurriedly. Spread out and guide the people away from here, as many as they can. Go in the name of the younger. The champions of faith obey Jean's order. They get into formation and begin advancing on the new believers, weapons in hand. The unarmed mob recoils in fear, but those in the front row are pushed from behind and driven onto the blades. Blood splatters onto the stairs of the sacred temple. A woman's voice lets out a shrill scream. Panic spreads throughout the mob like wildfire. Chaos fills the minds of women and men. They begin pushing, pulling, dashing, recoiling like frightened animals, and the warriors of the church keep advancing, unrelenting and lethal. Your men have reached the edges of the square. They try to guide the new believers down back alleys, shouting, "Here, over here," but for many of them, it's already too late. A mighty gust of wind rushes over the square. It roars, howls, almost screams, filled with remorse, agony, and wrath. The earth begins to tremble beneath your feet. Before your very eyes, as though in some terrible nightmare, the roof of the sacred temple begins to shake, and the pillars start to sway back and forth. No! The world is turned upside down, like a kaleidoscope shaken by a massive hand. For several seconds, everything blends together. You fall flat on your back. Slowly, you come to your senses. You are surrounded by dozens of bodies and chunks of rock. What the? Where the temple at the silver tree once stood, there is nothing. The grand majestic structure is no more. It has been leveled to the ground. Remnants of its wall and roof are scattered across the square. The stairs that once led to it have been ground into gravel. A cloud of dust slowly settles upon the square. After the dust comes the leaves, thousands and thousands of leaves shed by the silver tree. They cover the corpses of the truly dead like a pale white shroud. The entire square glows as the bodies of those yet to be reborn dissolve into nothingness. There are so many that the light stings your eyes, even through the thick dust that still hangs over it all. Just how many people met their deaths today? Sister Jean and her warriors are gone, buried beneath the rock. The Order of the Inquisition in Anazet is finished. You stagger to your feet and go to where you last saw Father Leonard. You soon spot the edge of his once white cassock pinned by a chunk of broken pillar. It takes all your strength to roll the heavy stone away and drag the abbot out from under the rubble. Leonard is wounded but conscious. He looks around trying to understand what has happened, then slowly falls to his knees. A loud groan escapes his lip. Blood and tears trickle down Leonard's face, mixing together. The abbot chokes on the dust. His eyes are fixed on the ruins of what was once his temple. The bare branches of the tree piercing the sky like swords. I was wrong. The gods, they wouldn't listen to us. They rejected our faith. What do I do now, Darren? What do I do? My temple. How will we live now? There is no hope left. This is the end. Leonard's words become incoherent, descending into a frantic babble. You speak to the abbot, trying to console him. All is not lost. You managed to save many people. You are not sure he can hear you now. But you cannot wait for him to come to his senses. You have to take the lead. So you begin mustering your forces and getting ready to move to Empire Square. Enormous crowds of people are already on their way there and about to choose the leader of the Anazet Rebellion. The sun slowly begins to set. Well, that was fucking useless. Jean suffered her true death. She's gone now. And of course, this is the lawless land. And we have one with the cautious. We have a little bit of support with the clergy. So, as far as destinies go, I can't get the cities defended because I'm not leading the revolt. I can't get peace with the overseer because I'm not leading the revolt and I don't have enough of the clergy, so on and so forth. I can't have the surrender of the revolt because the revolt is not equal to 0. The revolt can't be defeated because the revolt is not 0. The Legion is defeated. I'm not leading the revolt, so can't happen. The Anazet Massacre. The revolt is greater than or equal to 10. The revolt led by Sophia wins at the cost of relentless massacre. Jesus. So that is what we're on par with right now. I got no control over that. But all right. If I don't achieve any other outcomes, then I get dark times. Wonderful. I don't even know what's going to happen to my family, but okay. Let me see. I can probably still flee the city, but I can't lead the revolt unless something changes here. But that's just where we're at. Okay. Willpower is now at 10. I don't like how it's getting lower and lower like this. The rebel leader. The sun is setting. The blood-red sky quavers in the hot smoke from the fires raging throughout the city. You cannot help but recall a passage from the lives of the twins, one of the many pages Mother used to quote when you were a child. The elder said, "Lo, I have cast a flame unto the world, and I shall guard it until it begins to blaze." Could this passage be referring to today? You lead your followers to Empire Square. You walk around rubble, past abandoned carriages and unfinished barricades. There have clearly been clashes here recently. The dust of the departed is still rising into the sky. Thousands fill the square before the Chancellery. Well over half the commoners of Anazet. The Chancellery has been under rebel control since noon. All Imperial officials either fled or were torn apart by the mob. Scraps of rumors and gossip reach your ears as you move closer. Did you hear what happened at the Great Tree? It's the Inquisitors. They just started slaughtering folks. They grabbed them swords of theirs and started killing unarmed people. Leonard's procession made it into the temple. There was a sign from the twins. All lies. The twins got angry and destroyed them all under the tree. The temple's gone. And I tells you, gone for good. Jesus. The crowd is on edge. Any dispute could explode into a brawl. A voice from the Chancellery stairs calls for another people's court. The mob turns it as one. Several last straw rebels drag a handful of well-dressed nobles out onto the steps and force them to their knees. The leader of the executioners is a preacher with a mane of unkempt hair and the wild eyes of a lunatic. The younger, he speaks through us. He does. He gave us the power of his law, the power to punish our enemies, to execute them. Anyone who stands in our way is an enemy of the twins themselves. People, it's time to judge these enemies of the simple folk. What is your sentence? The mob roars so loudly the square shakes. Death, true death. The last straw rebels ready their guns. One of the captives gets to his feet and speaks out defiantly. Frederick L. Liberius. You dare call this pathetic freak show a people's court? You don't have the power. You never have, and you never will. You think you can wield the law of the twins? Bah, we'll come back, and we'll make you pay. The aged nobleman's last words are drowned out by a thunderous volley of gunfire. One by one, the nobles collapse, their bodies pierced by bullets. They remain where they fall. The mob gasp in amazement. There can be no doubt. The People's Court has the power to mete out true death at will. This is what will happen to anyone who dares to oppose us. All hail the revolt. All hail our leader. All hail Sophia. Sophia's gonna lead us. She's gonna fend off the Legion. She's gonna bring justice. First to Anazet, then to the whole empire. She's gonna tear down the old ways and wipe all them tyrants and nobles from the face of the world. The mob explodes into an ecstatic chant. They shout one word over and over again. Sophia, Sophia. The enormous throng bellows wildly, eager to see the face of its leader. And I can't do anything about this. I can unite the rebels around Sophia. They'll get power +1. I don't even know if that does anything at this point. The revolt get +2. That doesn't do anything. Troops +1. That doesn't do anything. The common folk +1. That doesn't do anything. I lose willpower. I lose 5 willpower. And Sophia gets +2. I don't think that does anything either. But she gets leading the revolt. I can't take control of the revolt because Sophia can't be leading the revolt. What? Okay, sure. You made that decision a while back, but okay, sure. I can't break up the mob because I don't have the Defender of the Empire destiny. I wouldn't do that anyway. I can't destroy their morale because I'm a rebel. I can't overthrow Sophia because the revolt would have to be less than 8. It is now 10. Sure. I could choose to not get involved. The revolt would get +2. My willpower would get +5. Or I can't watch what happens next because I would have to not be a rebel, and Sophia would have to not lead the revolt. And of course, there would be no one leading a revolt, and then yeah. So let's see. Honestly, I think I probably shouldn't even get involved, because on the one hand, if I do this, I'm going to lose willpower, and it doesn't give me anything. I don't need common folks. I don't need the troops. The revolt is already maxed out. I don't even know what the power would do at this point. And I mean, Sophia gets +2, but that doesn't do anything for me as well. Let's see. Province power. Let's see. Yeah, I don't even know what the power thing does at this point. Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what the power does right now. Oh, okay. The power is at Reign of Terror, so it's already maxed out. That doesn't do anything for me. So, I mean, in all honesty, it seems like a better idea to just not get involved and just get some willpower back. Shit. I mean, boy. You give Sophia your full support so she can unite and lead the people. I mean, I guess I'll just go ahead and do it just because, I mean, I've already started on this path. I might as well. But these choices honestly don't seem great, so whatever. You make your way through the crowd and reach the Chancellery stairs. You belong here by Sophia's side. The door of the Chancellery swings open, and Sophia emerges before the thousands of people gathered in the square. Her silhouette seems to blaze in the light of the setting sun. She raises a clenched fist in the air, demanding silence. The enormous crowd ceases its murmuring at once. The voice of the leader of the revolt rings with frigid fury. People of Anazet, today is not only the day we took up arms and cast off our shackles. Today is the first day of a new era. We will begin by taking back our city. We will eliminate anyone who dares to stand in our way. Then we will declare war against the old regime, against the entire empire. Upon hearing these words, even the most frantic rebels fall silent. A frightened murmur ripples through the crowd. Is Sophia asking them to take on the entire world? You exchange glances with Sophia and step forward. Surely the people do not think the Empire will simply allow Anazet to remain free after hundreds of years of slavery and tyranny. The people of Anazet have already crossed the line. There's no turning back. Anyone who fights for the revolt today will go down in history as a hero. Today's spark will kindle tomorrow's fire, and that fire will spread until the entire empire burns to the ground. Our fear of the nobles and divine retribution is a thing of the past. Our future lies in struggle and freedom. The people know you. You are Darren Bronte, and you will fight for Sophia until the very end. The people cheer ecstatically. Sophia steps forward again, her eyes gleaming with yellow light. The crowd falls silent, wrapped with attention, the golden light reflected in thousands of eyes. Well said, Bronte. No mercy. Nobles, defenders of the old faith, the tyrants of the old regime, they will all be executed by the people's court. Every single enemy of the Anazet revolt will be eliminated. Arm yourselves. Find and execute our enemies before the Legion reaches the city. And then, when the bell tolls, go to the walls. We will unite the entire city and take our freedom by force. The people echo Sophia's cry. Artisans, merchants, peasants from the outskirts of Anazet, they all take up arms and join the ranks of the last straw. The rest form into gangs, ready to unleash their wrath against temples and noble houses alike. Sophia catches her breath after her rousing speech and grips you by the shoulder. I knew you'd be by my side when the time came, Darren, and we've got all the commoners on our side now too. But we're short on time. I'll go hunt down our enemies inside the walls. I need to take charge of the People's Court. You should go defend the city from the Legion. You eagerly accept this assignment. A report soon arrives from the scouts at the gate. The Legion is only a few hours away. The final battle is drawing near. Will the outcome of the revolt be decided in combat, or is there a peaceful solution? It all depends on the actions you take in the coming hours. Still got that reign of terror. Everything is still a bloodbath. Still got the army, and I am the undisputable leader of the common folk. My willpower is down to 5 now. Hearth and home. This event is a consequence of your action. The revolt is greater than or equal to 1. The family is in the city. I'll go ahead and do this, and then after that, we will stop it. While you are busy preparing, night falls over Anazet. The darkness brings disorder, lawlessness, and chaos. In the dark, madmen, robbers, and looters flood the city. These gangs have no interest in the fate of the Empire or the revolt. They see the uprising as a sign that the end of the world is nigh, and if the wrath of the gods is at hand, then everything is permitted. Upon hearing reports of gangs roaming the streets, you sense danger. What is to stop them from attacking your home? Your people may need you, but you will never abandon your family. Taking a squad of loyal men with you, you hurry to your home district. Your instincts prove to be correct. Even before reaching your street, you smell smoke. Sir Tiber's school is ablaze. The old man was hurled out a third-story window and impaled on the sharp spikes of the gates below. Ashes from dozens of burning books blanket the ground like black snow. Thomas's old house lies in ruins. Breathless, you run up the street. Your men can barely keep up with you. You hope you're not too late. You round the last turn. There it is, the gate of your ancestral home. You see dozens of figures approaching by the light of the burning houses. The thugs are close, too close. You run through the gate and into the house. Your men stay to guard the outside. You hastily open the door. Your father is on the doorstep, sword in hand. He recognizes you and lets out a sigh of relief. It's you, Darren. I'm so glad you're here. The bastards have burned down half the district, and they're on their way here. He's cut short. The living room window is shattered. A torch lands on the floor. You quickly stamp out the flames. The battle is in full swing in the front yard. A massive crowd is furiously attacking your soldiers without any regard for their own safety. The looters are led by a rugged, half-naked old man clad in rags. Horrible scars on his wrists and ankles reveal his past as a convict. He yells frantically in your direction, his shrieks cutting through the din of the fray. Ringleader. The world is coming to an end. We've disobeyed the twins, and they're punishing us. There ain't no punishment worse than this, so there ain't nothing to fear. These are our last hours. Do whatever you want. The crowd bellows in support of the old man. Your soldiers fall one after another beneath the onslaught of the rabid gang. The twins have demanded us all. We've been damned for your sins, you filthy nobles, you false priests. But before we face our final judgment, we dole out a little punishment of our own. We'll take our revenge on you before we die. Our judgment cometh. You know, it baffles me that after we were able to turn around and steal guns from the gendarmes, we will turn around and able to have these vast conspiracies and build a network of teaming spies and everything else in between, and we get failed by a bunch of villagers with pitchforks. Gendarmes can beat people down with clubs in mass. They fought against Dorius Odden, for God's sakes, and we can't even deal with a bunch of rabble-rousers who can't even get their shit straight. Perfect sense. Perfect sense. The horde crushes your squad's resistance and approaches the house. The stomping of their feet shakes the windows. Your father looks at you in despair. They want to execute us. What do we do, son? Let me see. I can convince them that I am on their side, or I can die for my home. I would get 4 deaths immediately for that. The Brontë family would perish. I'd get true death, and my entire family would get true death. Wonderful. I can't kill the leader because I don't have Path of the Nobleman. I don't have fencing lessons, even though my valor is 16. And yeah, okay. Who would give 2 shits about the Path of the Nobleman at this point? I would just fight you because my valor is strong enough. That's stupid. Okay. Let me see. I can't fight for my home because Stefan isn't here. Wow. Really? Stefan isn't here. My father is standing right next to me. But since Stefan isn't here, we're doomed. Stupid. Okay. I can't subdue the thugs because the revolt has to be less than 8, even though you shot it up to 10 as soon as the chapter started, but whatever, and it hasn't went down not once. There has been no decisions to send it down at all. So yeah, there's that. And I can't call in the troops because Nathan Brontë would have to be hopeful. He's a prophet. But, oh, okay, whatever. Okay, all right. Oh, it's because he left. Okay, it's because he left. If he was hopeful, then yes. But okay. All right. And I can convince them that I'm on their side because I'm a rebel. Gloria Brontë is at home. One of these must be true. Manipulation has to be greater than or equal to 15, or eloquence has to be greater than or equal to 14. That's the case for both of them. So my family will be saved, and the revolt will go up by 1. Willpower will go down by 5. Once again, that doesn't really help me at all. Willpower, I just keep losing it. You will not be able to hold them off for long, but even this angry rabble must understand that you are no enemy of theirs. Your family has openly supported the revolt. But how, Darren? To those madmen, we're just a noble family that deserves to be punished for the world's sins. Suddenly, you hear your sister's voice ring out from behind you. In that case, we need to tell them that they've made a mistake. Let me go. I'll talk to them. I'm sure this would work out in real life perfectly. Her lips are trembling slightly, but her eyes are filled with determination. Father stands in the doorway, blocking it with his arms. No, Gloria, they'll tear you apart. Come to your senses. You put your hand on Father's shoulder. Gloria bears the Brontë name for a reason. She has the right to defend her family. You both know that she is capable of far more than just patiently awaiting her fate. Let Gloria speak to the crowd. She will not be alone. You will find aid, and you will aid her. Father steps aside with a sigh. Gloria squeezes your hand. You go out to face the raging mob together. Look, it's our nobles. They can't wait to accept their punishment. He, he, he. Without so much as a glance at the insane leader, Gloria addresses the crowd fearlessly and passionately. People, this madman has no idea what he's talking about. I am Gloria Brontë. I was born poor. I don't even know the name of the man who sired me. I don't have to tell you how cruel and full of sorrow our world is, and I would still be one of you if this family hadn't taken me in. You blame all the nobles for your troubles, but Robert Brontë has been kinder to me than any commoner. He accepted me, a penniless, lowborn girl, as his own daughter. He devoted his entire life to defending the rights of people like us. The crowd is bewildered by Gloria's words. Even the old madman has nothing to say. Today we, the Brontë family, are fighting for the revolt alongside the common estate. We are fighting for a new tomorrow, for freedom, for the people. We want to build a life that is fair and just for everyone. the poor, the nobles, and the clergy alike. The leader of the gang finally spits out the rage simmering within him. Are you really going to listen to this noble's trollop? This noble's trollop? She's lying to you. This world has no future. The twins hate us for our sins. Nobody can be redeemed. Follow me. Let's take our revenge. Hee hee. The old man raised a rusty axe and dashes toward the crowd towards the porch. Gloria grips your hand and stands her ground. You desperately shout to the crowd, urging them to come to their senses. This madman wants to doom them before anything has ever been decided. Oh god, this is just... Someone reaches out from the mob and grabs the leader by the arm. Others do the same. The old man stops, still holding his axe. What? Instead of me, who suffered through all the worst this world has to offer, you believe them noble brats. But the people have made their choice and reached their verdict. They surrounded their former leader. The old madman disappears, engulfed by the crowd. You hear a wail of agony, and then it's over. Finally, silence falls. Dozens of eyes are fixed on you and Gloria. Father walks out of the house, lays his sword on the ground, and gets down on one knee. Thank you. Thank you for trusting us. We will not let you down. The people have never seen a nobleman behave like this before. You hear hesitant cries. Brontë! Bronte's with us. He's with the revolt. We're still fighting. You mean to tell me him going around earlier and helping out with the revolt didn't help? You mean to tell me that his son literally starting the revolt didn't convince you of that, you stupid fucks? Gloria turns to you, and Father smiling. Thank you for believing in me. I've raised a wonderful daughter. My only regret is that it took me so long to call you my child. You embrace your father and sister warmly, but you cannot stay any longer. The preparations for the decisive battle are not finished. I understand, son. I'll spend the rest of the night trying to get more commoners from nearby districts to join us. Take care. I hope to see you again soon. Even if we don't see each other during the battle, know that I am by your side. You leave a small squad behind in case of another attack. You say your goodbyes and take off to face your fate. It's almost midnight. I have no willpower left. I'm sure that's gonna turn out well. Alright, and Brontë family is safe. I got an achievement for that. Wonderful. Alrighty, and now it is night. The final hour. And that's where we're going to turn around and end it. So in the next episode, we will conclude the Lotless Path, and we will find out what will be the result of this revolt. I'm pretty sure it's going to turn out to be quite shit because of the decisions that I have been dealt and decisions that I have had. So it is what it is. Oh God, sometimes. Oh boy, I love that little, the power of friendship and the power of words against a raging mob who didn't give a shit in the first place. I'm pretty sure that would have worked out in real life, but all right. I'm not just gonna leave it at that, but we will see the conclusion of this in the next episode. So, thank you for watching, everyone. If you liked the video, like the video. If you want to hear more of my rants and more content like this, subscribe. I have plenty of things on the channel, and I will have many things coming in the future. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. I am more than happy to answer and address anything. If you want to hear my opinions about other things and stuff like that, shoot, by all means, feel free to, leave it down there or whatever. And yeah. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in what may be the last video of the life and suffering of Sir Brontë, at least until the Priest Path, until I do the Priest Path. So thank you for watching. See you in the next one.